Hello, hello, everybody. I am back for another episode. Yes, it's the same day as the episode from last week, but that's okay. I just have both of the episodes done and I wanted to break them up. So sorry I didn't change my shirt if it's weird. I promise you, I don't have the same shirt on for like 2 straight weeks. I just have the same shirt on the same day. There we go. Anyway, let's jump into our topic. First of all, my name is Kiah, or Vonkiah, as you guys know me. This is the Eyes Wide Open podcast. Thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure that you hit the subscribe button. Make sure that you follow me. If you haven't checked out the previous episode or the linked episode, which is looking like 5 ways that we give or love authentically, check that episode out. It should already be posted by the time that you guys are getting to this one. And this week's episode is going to be 4 ways that we receive love authentically. I initially had 4 and 4, but in the midst of doing my other one, I was creating like 5 and 6, and it just happened. So this episode, I do have 4, and I think it should stay 4 unless my brain starts turning a little bit more. But we're going to see. Woo-wee. As you guys know from the last one, if you're tuning back in, I was at work and the topic of loving authentically came up and how we show love authentically. And I started to think about that. And then I started to think about how we give love authentically and ways that we receive love authentically. So I wanted to break it down into 2 episodes. So this is going to be how we receive love authentically. The first one, I'm going to go ahead and jump in. Number 1, I have listening. This is a big one for me because I think one of the most difficult things I had a time doing was listening as a person. And it was really hard for me to admit that and own that as a person. But I definitely feel like it's something that I have, once I did own it and admit it and agree to it, it's been a very big challenge to forge it through because it's, listening is a beautiful art. You are literally receiving what somebody has to say. You are receiving their thoughts. You are receiving what's on their mind. And when it comes to our interpersonal relationships and intimate relationships, obviously work, but those 2 specifically, sometimes what you're talking about or speaking about can get very vulnerable, very intimate, and very real. And so when we receive love authentically, that is a form of love. That is somebody feeling safe enough and open enough to talk to you and communicate you and share their thoughts with you and share the way that they think and they view the world with you. And that's a very personal thing. It's in our brain, right? It's how the world is to us. And I think that when we are listening to receive what somebody's saying and actually hear them, it goes a lot longer. It goes a lot further, for like the bond strengthens because you're actually just taking them in. I can be very conversational. It's interesting. I didn't even realize that I had a problem listening because I think that my best friend and I are both very like communicative in the way that we talk. And so it's always just, and we don't have that problem. She was like, I think you listen fine. But I think it's just because we have the exact same communication style, literally same exact communication style. Then I became involved in a relationship and I realized like I do not listen the way that I should be listening or as intently. So I definitely have been on a mission for a while to strengthen how I listen to people and how I take in the information. And something that I definitely had to learn more recently, like listening and truly allowing the information to soak in. I can compute and process stuff like real quick, and it can come as like harsh judgment. So I've had to learn how to like take in and just like mental process without even saying anything, just mental process. And I don't know if I just didn't know how, or I didn't know how that like worked in my brain, but there was a disconnect at some point that I finally feel like I have connected and understood better within me. And I think that I've gotten better and better and better at listening. And I think it's because I have tried to find the joy in listening to people, like the genuine joy. Like, wow, this person's actually talking to me. They deem me value to hear their thoughts, hear what they're saying, and they hope that I'm going to be receptive to this. Be receptive. People are sharing who they are. As a person, I have a tendency to be like an airhead. Like I like space out and then I'm like, wait, here I come back. It's like not even on purpose. I just think sometimes I do that. Knowing that you do that can make you more aware and more cognizant to adjust it. It is like a process, though. It's not something I fixed overnight. It was like 2 years that I was just like, dude, how do I do this? How have I gone through life without doing this? How? What have I been doing? But I figured it out. I feel like I have figured it out. Listening is very imperative. It is like so many of the things that we learn come from listening and then discerning the information in our minds or like researching and understanding. So I definitely have been a person that has tried, normally I'm a reader. I'll read. I've tried to strengthen my listening skills by doing things like listening to Audible online books or just listening to a YouTube video instead of watching it, to where it doesn't have like every ounce of my attention. I've tried to like understand how to like really focus, like close my eyes and just listen and take the information in. And I know to some people, closing your eyes when somebody's talking can seem so disrespectful, but I think that the world at large is beautiful to me. When I close my eyes, I can just take in what's being said. It really helps me as a person, but that was my process. So if you're not a good listener, take a second and look at different videos online to understand how to listen more intently. I highly recommend that. I, as a person, have self-identified that I did not and possibly still am not the best at it, but I definitely can say that being so involved with the community, listening has been such a beautiful thing because you get to see how you can actually help. You know what I mean? When you listen and you take in what you can actually do to better other people, it's like, huh. And all that just came from me being quiet. You know what I mean? Like you can learn a lot when you're quiet. That's what I have learned. And you can build a lot when you're able to just sit and listen. That bond strengthens when that person feels like this person is here and they're present and they're here for me and they're just taking in the things I say. Some people don't have a person they can release to like that. So it's beautiful when you can be that person. Okay. Number 2, embracing. Embracing people. When people come to you and they need to pour into you, embracing them. And I did that. That's a very physical thing, but it goes hand in hand with nurturing, in my opinion. So like, you know what I mean? When you nurture, it's like you might hold or like love or like, you know, show that affection like in that way, or you help to mold in that way. I feel like embracing is like allowing that to happen. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm going to embrace this. I'm going to really, really receive this. I'm going to receive my person. I'm going to embrace them when they come to me. When my person comes to me with a rough day and they just want to lay their head on my shoulder, I'm going to embrace them. I'm not going to be like, get that weak-ish out of here. You're supposed to just be fine. Everybody has a bad day, you know? No. How are you embracing your person when they're going through those things? Another form of nurturing, but it is when somebody is able to come into you and know that they need to be embraced, you embracing them, you loving them. That's a very vulnerable moment for two people. And I just use that as an example so you guys are aware, but embracing people is very key. Embracing what they have to say, embracing their feelings. I think whenever we are receiving love, sometimes like it can be overwhelming if you're not used to that, especially if you guys know I'm gonna go astro brain for a second, but especially if you are a heavy water sign and the person you deal with is like opposite water, or not opposite water because that'd be earth, which is kind of good, but opposite water, like maybe they're heavily an earth sign, not an earth sign, an air sign or a fire sign, and receiving so much water or so much emotion is like a lot. Try to work with them, and as a person, try to break that barrier down and receive it in. Understand the beauty in embracing that person who needs that, being that, you know what I mean? Being that embrace for them. Huge level, especially when I think about our Black men or males in society who get to where they have been, you know, conditioned from time to time to feel like they can't be weaker or vulnerable or cry or have a moment of weakness. I think it's important that we embrace them and let them understand that they can have that and that there's nothing wrong with that. Everybody has those moments. Everybody has a breakdown, but like when you have a good foundation, a support, you know what I mean? You can embrace and you can receive the love that someone wants to give you. I also would like to say too, embracing is as well somebody else embracing you. Like you're I need to go back to listening for just a second, but embracing yourself, embracing who you are, embracing the many facets of you. You know, like it was hard for me to accept that I didn't listen, but once I did and I just embraced it, it allowed me to learn, and it opened my mind to realizing like I can take this in because I need to learn this. I need to understand this. Something else I wanted to call into on listening is that listen to yourself, listen to your mind, listen to your body. Love yourself enough to listen to your own needs too. Love yourself enough to listen to the things that your body or your mind or your heart is telling you are important to you, and love yourself enough to communicate that too. Okay? Love yourself enough to be able to listen within. A lot of times we brush ourselves to the side. Bring her back on in. Bring your little person back in. Hang out. Listen to you. Okay? Because it is unfair to other people when you're not sure who you are. Make sure that you listen inward. Go within to understand what it is that you need, because your body will tell you. Your body will 100% tell you. Okay. Number 3, accepting. Ooh, it's going to be a tough one. Accepting is interesting because, you know, when we do things or things happen, you know, we just are specific ways. Being accepting or a person accepting you is huge when it comes to receiving love. A person who is able to accept you, what you come with, and they are, oh, okay, you know what I mean? They accept that, and they don't judge you harshly, or they don't make you feel unsafe about who you are. They can accept who you are and understand who you are, even whether they deal with you or not. Accepting somebody does not mean you have to actually like avidly deal with them. You can just accept who a person is and understand that and say like, okay, I totally accept that that's how you are. I just don't know that that works for me in a relationship. Like being honest, you know what I mean? In that way is like so crucial. But accepting a person, you know, we accept a lot of friends who we would never like romantically be with, right? That's what I mean. Really accepting. If it's your partner even, and this is you're married, accepting who they are, what they do, what they enjoy. You know, if your person enjoys rock music in his underwear at 6 a.m., I mean, let them go to the living room at 6 a.m. and enjoy their rock music. Accept them for who they are. If they only enjoy, you know, I don't know, painting and wine tasting and going to the movies, accept who they are. Obviously, you can encourage people to do other things or be a part of other things and share in other experiences, but you accept who a person is. You don't work to avidly change them, male or female or person or friend or whomever. You don't work to force them to change. You accept who they are, and then you inspire them as well through love, and you give love. And I feel like when you give love and you accept people in that way, it inspires them to step up or do more, be better, be a better version or the best version of themselves that they can. And who knows the timeline that is. You know what I mean? We have to be patient to allow people. Some people have never accepted who they are as a person. So when we can accept who people are, sometimes you may be showing them, you can accept you. There's nothing wrong with you. I accept you. That's a very huge thing when it comes to us receiving, you know, love, is how well we accept and we receive people for who they are. You know what I mean? And learning that we're all vessels here on earth trying to like figure life out. There is no step-by-step manual, you know, for people, for, you know, how to do life. And so a lot of us are trying to figure it out day by day. Accepting is like so crucial for that. My last one, understanding, very crucial for me, being understanding. If a person understands you I think that that's one of the most beautiful forms, or they work to understand you. One of the most beautiful forms of receiving love is when you work to understand somebody. I want to understand how to make you happy. I want to understand how to make you feel good. I want to understand why that hurts you. I want to understand so I don't continue to do it. It's like you genuinely are receiving them. You're receiving that. You're wanting to receive that information. It goes back hand in hand with listening too. But you're understanding of them, and you're gaining or understanding why things are hurting them or why things are not helping them. And I think that when we understand other people, we have more grace and more mercy for who they are, what they're going through, and what they're doing. So taking a moment to actually understand people and what has happened, I think is a huge form of receiving love and receiving who they are. When we receive love, it's like, okay, when you receive that understanding, you and your person, like, even if something negative happens, say your spouse forgot to pay something, and rather than bite their head off, they talk to you and they're like, it's been a really hectic week and I'm so sorry. I thought I plugged it into my reminder board. I didn't. I'm so sorry. Instead of taking that aspect again to like bite their head off, you take time to call them like, hey, I saw you didn't pay the cable bill. What happened? Then she lets you know. And rather than get angry, you accept that and you understand that. I understand. Let's create a plan so it doesn't happen again. What's a better way for us to get about this? It's like you're finding a solution, you're understanding, and you want to make the situation better. That is receiving. You know what I mean? You're helping receive that person's struggle. You're receiving that they went through that, and you're understanding that they go through that. And then you're saying, it's okay. We'll progress. We'll be fine. That's a beautiful aspect of our interpersonal relationships and our intimate relationships, because we have to be understanding that things can be irritating, but then it's like, well, what are we doing to change this? What are we doing to make this better? Are you being like genuinely understanding of a person's situation? Things happen between people. There are no perfect people. So being understanding and receptive to gaining insight to who you deal with, I think is very key and very important. And another key component in how we actually receive that love authentically is just being able to understand our person, or being willing to understand our person, being receptive to that when they talk to us about those things. So key. Because what we gain in that is grace and mercy for people. You know what I mean? We gain empathy and sympathy and just a pure understanding. Being able to have that and receive and understand is very key. Very, very key. And understanding yourself kind of goes hand in hand with like listening and embracing yourself, but understanding self so that you can make it clear who you are to other people or what you're about to other people, okay? Those are 4 ways that I want to share with you guys to receive love authentically. I hope that you have enjoyed these last 2 segments. I have another segment planned for the following week about more love topics. I just really wanted to talk about interpersonal relationships and love in that way. And especially coming from a person who had a low self-esteem, I felt like these spoke to me so much internally as a person, and definitely made me more reflective of my past relationships that I had with people and why. And guys know I'm an astrology nerd, and I love to kind of dissect different aspects of that. And so I've been doing a lot of synastry readings for people and looking at different relationship aspects for people. So I felt like this would be a really beautiful topic to just share with my audience. And this can help a lot of you in a lot of the relationships that you have day to day that are intimate or non-intimate. So if you guys have enjoyed these 2 segments, please like the video, please thumbs it up. If you are listening on a different platform other than YouTube, make sure that you leave me a review. I would love to see a review on the podcast, on the show. If you are watching me on YouTube, make sure that you comment, you like the video, you subscribe, all the good stuff. I appreciate my audience. Thank you guys for tuning in week to week to week. You are such a huge motivator to me to drive and bring you guys content every week. And I appreciate you for that. So I will talk to all of your beautiful faces next week. I got really exciting stuff coming, so stay tuned. Thank you for tuning in to season 2. Talk to you guys later.